Okay, so let's focus on topic two. As you can see, you're presenting some initial data from the left column on table one. So if you're going for that A-level answer, you want to have a sentence that introduces what do you call it? Your topic for this item. Or what you'll be focusing on this item. So you can say, in this paragraph, I will be focusing on some blah blah blah. Um, uh, I think I wanted to say something else real quick. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't have scores associated with each table, but if you don't do this table, you could lose 5 points, and if you don't do this table, you could lose 5 points. So you don't get points for doing them, but you could lose points for not doing them. So make sure you do them. All right. So on this one, I've made a change, and I say focuses on presenting some initial data from the left column, and so this should not actually say left column. This should say, let me see if I'm in an editing mode. I'm going to edit that. So that's a mistake. And if your template says, you might have to make a correction to your template. So for topic two, it should say focuses on presenting some initial data from table one above. That's what it should say. Follow this video. So you're following the video right now. So what do you notice about your scores? Okay, so that is you could also use that, the wording in that as your topical sentence. You can say, in this paragraph, I will be focusing, I will what? You'll do this. And then you could have another sentence that's kind of transitional saying, I will be talking about what I notice about what? My scores. Something like that. Okay, so then this question here is answered in virtue of answering these questions and the other questions that I'm about to give you. So I'm about to tell you how you can flesh out your answers to these questions. But the idea is that these questions, this question here, this question here, and this question here are going to help you answer this question. So this isn't necessarily a separate question. I've got these questions here to help you answer this one, but I'm also going to show you how to elaborate and really get into this. I could have just said, what do you notice about the scores, and then left it up to you, and a lot of you might have been confused and not sure and maybe wanted some more structure and coaching, so that's what I'm going to do right now. So notice that I am asking you for specific averages. Just to make sure, if you don't know how to compute an average or calculate an average for something, please Google it. I had a student where in an assignment, I asked them to give me the average of some scores, and all they did was list out their scores. So listing out your scores is not the same thing as averaging your scores. So know how to give an average. So you have to know some basic math here. Okay, so here I asked for the average for all of the scores. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to add up all of these scores, right? And you get the total, and then you divide it by the number of scores you've added. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just told you how to do the average. So let's say you got 100 on every single thing, divided by 5, your average is 100. Let's say you got a 50 on everything, 250 divided by 5, your average is 50. Of course, for most of you, your average is going to be between hopefully 70 and 100, hopefully not 50 and 100. Hopefully none of you have it that low. So you'll convert this stem into your answer. So that's a really important thing to do. Is one thing that I want to emphasize is it's a good idea to turn the question stems when possible into your statements, or to use them to word your statement so I can know exactly what you're dealing with. So you could say the average for all of my scores in table 1 is, and you can just give me what the mathematics of that. You don't need to give me the whole computation. You don't need to say, well, the sum was blank and divided by blank. No, just give me the number. Okay, and then what was the average score for week 2, task 3B, and week 3, task 1A? So then you'll say the average score for week 2, task 3B, and week 3, task 1A. So you need to go up to here, week 2, task 3B, week 3, task 1A. So then you're going to add up this number, and then how many will you divide that total by to get your average? 2. Notice that I'm asking for the average of what? Argument module lessons. So we're seeing how well did you do? What was your average score? So generally speaking, how well did you do on the soft chalk argument modules? If you want to go for the A-level answer, this is where you can now elaborate. So you give your average, and then you can say these 2 tasks or these 2 assignments consisted of what? Were what? completed in virtue of doing what? Soft talk modules. And then tell me, what did these soft talk modules focus on? So elaborate on what you're giving me the average score for. This is where me giving you the gist of the information helps you to elaborate and develop more fully other answers. Now this one says, what was your average score for week 2 task 3E and week 3 task 1C? Okay, so you're gonna add this one and this one, divide them by 2, that's your average. Now elaborate. What did these tasks consist of? What did you have to do? Well, evidence-based learning, right? Or evidence of learning and engagement. So what did you do? Do you guys remember? You submitted notes, right? But what were the notes about? So you can say that, well, to provide evidence of learning and engagement with this, we had to submit blank. What we had and what this consisted of was, what we watched while doing what. So you want to add information, elaborate. What were these 2 tasks about? And notice that there's a difference, right? So then after that, you could then talk about, what do you notice? What do you observe? Is your average score higher for this task and this task? Is it higher than your average for this task and this task? Tell me why. Why do you think your average for the soft talk modules is higher or lower than your average for the task of the notes that consisted of all these things in parentheses? Or vice versa? Or was it the same? Why do you think your average is the same? This is where you're going to be, this is where you have to introspect. You have to speculate. You have to try to think back in time in offering an answer to elaborate. So why do you think you did, why your averages are either the same or why the average for one kind of task is different from another kind of task? So add a sentence or two. This is relative to you. This is what you come up with based on objective mathematical facts about your score. You're giving subjective interpretations that are relative to what you think in your reality. Of course, the last question asks you to report your score. So even though you've got your score in here, I want you to discuss it. So then you're going to turn this question into your answer. My score for week 3, task 2C all by itself was blah, blah, blah. And then again, tell me, what did this task consist of? And then tell me, elaborate. Was your score higher or lower than the average that you had for the soft talk modules on argument, where you were reading about argument analysis and clarification? Or was it lower? And then tell me why. Why was your score for this item here higher or lower than the average you first gave me, higher or lower than the average you gave me after that? That's pretty good.